So Hardened Shell is the next ability. Really, it isn't much. It isn't really even ability. All it is something that allows your creature to get 82 defense. Um, and of course, it's only on the turtle. It's minimum. Actually, I don't think it is a minimum level. Might be minimum level 3, but that might just be because of the power level. So yeah, there's not really anything to say about the Hardened Shell ability other than the fact that it's a bit expensive and it is ridiculous with regeneration. Herding is, again, a fairly common ability. It's on 6 creatures, 3 of which with horns, um, and again, 3 of which with charge attack. So you can see we've got the gorilla, which has, I think I went over this in one of my previous videos. You'll see that the herding is mainly a late game ability. It is definitely a very useful ability in level 5 because it reduces the cost, your coal cost of each creature by so much, while only being about like say 40 or 50 electricity, which is easily affordable compared to about 100 coal. Like for example, we'll take that example right at the start of the video. We had the moose lobster compared to the elephant komodo. The moose lobster was like 600 and something coal, 606 I believe, and the elephant was 240. So hang on, 240? Yeah, I think it's 240. So you can see that the only difference between the two is a bit of melee, and of course the fact that the elephant has about 33 less defense. Um, so that 33 defense is immediately you get it back straight away with an upgrade and herding for the elephant, and it's still the same cost as it was before. Whereas the moose lobster doesn't get an upgrade, but it's just it just has the flat 75 defense. Yeah, as I say, it's used mainly to increase the defense of a creature. When you're using herding, you got to aim for either 40 defense or 50 defense. I think I've gone over this before sometime, but the idea is that you have at 40 defense, the upgrade gives 10 defense, so the 10 defense, of course, takes it up to 50, and 50 is the optimal number for herding because it gives a 50% defense increase with 4 or more units in the vicinity. So herding on a 50 defense unit, obviously 50 defense means you don't need an upgrade, but 40 defense means you do need an upgrade, but it takes you up to 50 defense anyway. So 75 defense is, of course, the maximum defense possible without hardened shell, and herding with a 50 defense unit, of course, takes it up to that 75. So of course, like for example, the I think the Ram Diplo has 40 defense. It's not a very good unit, but that's just an example. A number of elephant combos are around 40, and the hippo, of course, usually well, it has 50 straight up. So yeah, usually you'll be seeing it in the late game. It's a bit expensive to be using in the early game, um, but yeah, it makes for great meat shield at any rate. Okay then, High Endurance. High Endurance is of course an ability found on I think like 10 creatures or something. No, 11 creatures. Um, so High Endurance is a very cheap ability. Its base is like 5 electricity, and pretty much what you'll what it does is it doubles the rate at which creatures regenerate endurance. So, of course, it's great with triggered abilities. For example, Frenzy. Frenzy's one. Basically anything can be combined with a Fox, as I said. And it also negates movement penalties that occur due to Stink Cloud, Poison, Sonic Attack, and Soundbeam Towers, coming straight from the tooltip description on this particular ability. So, as you can see, we've got a huge range of creatures, and of course, we've got 11 creatures anyway, so that's going to be happening pretty much invariably. So you've got 2 loners with it. You've got like I think 2 water units, 2 loners. One with herding, one with pack hunter. You got huge variety of high endurance units. You've even got a flyer, you got a fast raider, you got a fast water unit with horns, as I said. You got pack hunter, you got leap attack, you got cheap level ones, you got digging, you got pretty much everything. So it's great for just about any creature. If you can put it on a creature, go ahead and do so, because it always comes in handy, especially when you've got a triggered ability. And of course, the sound beam and sonic thing is it's just something a bonus. I mean, 4 electricity, anything can be. I mean, unless you're really stingy about level ones, 4 electricity, 5 electricity is it's affordable. There's no way you can't afford that. So there's no point in not putting it on unless you, of course, you want the torso. You need the torso switched for whatever reason. So high endurance. We move to horns. Horns, again, very, very common. It's on 11 creatures again. Horns reduces the defense, sorry, of the opposing creatures by 35%. So it's basically a great counter for hurting. It doesn't take out the ability entirely, but it does make a huge difference. It's basically like not exactly free, but it's basically like a damage bonus that doesn't require four different units nearby. It's a great counter for high defense units. It's also fairly cheap as well, especially at the high levels. So you can see we got again a fairly good a fairly good range of units to be using with it. So you got the fast black mine, you got the bull, which is sturdy level 3, you got the muskox with herding, ram with herding and charge, Frownodon, of course, a huge size and great, not exactly great stats, but it's got fast, it's got digging and leap attack. Smiler has leap attack and pack hunter. It's got great melee and good speed. Elephant again, don't need to go over the elephant for the 15th time. Rhino, same deal. Walrus, same. Well, the walrus has the highest melee of just about everything, with the exception of probably the dragonfly. And then you got the woolly mammoth, of course. So yeah, you got just about everything. Again with horns, it is a minimum level 3 ability, and but as I say, it's fairly cheap. And really, again, there's no point not having it. Porcupine quills also work as horned units. So if you have a porcupine range ability, yeah, if you have a porcupine ranged unit, that will also do the exact same thing as horns. And also, artillery gets a piercing attack upgrade, which does, I think, 15% piercing, which is something, I suppose. Um, so yeah, horns is basically the barrier destroyer creature to creature, and of course, it's great for anti defense, great for anti everything really. Since it even works on henchmen, I believe. So horns out of the way, let's move to hovering. Hovering is has 4 creatures with the ability, the bombardier beetle, Hercules beetle, cockroach, and behemoth. Um, Really nothing to say about any of these creatures I haven't said before. The bombardier, of course, is the long-range chemical artillery, and the behemoth has decent speed and great defenses, which are unfortunately kind of shit because of hurting. But yeah, I mean you got plenty of different options here with these particular creatures. Hovering is usually used as an army theme because hovering has I think it's like 150-meter range. It uses 33% endurance, and it allows you to basically jump over any terrain whatsoever. It's excellent for artillery units, so a behemoth archer can just hover up onto a couple cliffs near your enemy's base and just shell away with pretty much impunity, especially when you've got anti-airs in the vicinity. Um, it's also great for speeding up slow creatures. So if you've got for example, a Hercules beetles are slow, but with hovering, they move quite a bit faster. So you can use them with, say, like a Diplodocus or something, and so it'd make a great melee. Even though it's fairly slow, you can move it around quickly, that sort of thing. So it's yeah, as I say, it's usually as a theme for an army. So you would have a hovering themed army for say Badlands, the Badlands map, and I think I can't remember. There's another one that has a lot of hovering emphasis. I can't remember which one it is now, but I think it's like Ice 1v1v1 or something. Um, okay, so imaginary hovering is an ability, is not an ability, I should say. So I'll move on to immunity.